Hello and what's up people, it's Krabby back here again. Before I start off this video, I want to thank you guys for showing support on my last video. I really appreciate all the likes and the comments that you've sent my way. It really shows that you guys appreciate this type of content and encourages me to do more. Today's video will be about the Battle Pass weapons. I thought that since the Battle Pass will be ending in a few days, it would be a really good opportunity to actually uh, cover the topic about what Battle Pass weapons to choose and why you should choose them. I want to make this video as compact as possible and there's a lot of information, so I'll just get to it. Okay, so my idea is that I'm gonna go over each weapon, their effects, and their refinements, and then at the end tell you guys about what heroes these weapons can be good for. And as I said, there will be a lot of information, so I'll try to keep this as short as possible, but as impactful and informative as well. Okay, so let's start off with the Black Sword. In my opinion, the Black Sword is easily the best weapon. Simply because of its effects. Let me just say that all of these weapons are good in their own right. Basically, this crit rate stat right here is what makes these weapons good. All of them. Doesn't matter, right? But there are weapons that are better than others. The crit rate stat is the endgame stat. Crit rate and crit damage are the things that will elevate your hero's damage output, and those are what makes the difference between the damage numbers you see right now and the damage numbers that you can see later on, right? And the damage numbers you see in these crazy burst damage videos. Albeit they use certain combos like Sucrose and Bennett, but you can still get similar damage numbers just by having crit rate and crit damage. And these weapons really help with that, because then you don't have to really worry about getting a crit damage or a crit rate circlet. Okay, so the Black Sword's effect is that it increases damage dealt by normal and charge attack by 20%, and it regenerates 60% of attack dealt as HP. Alright, and this can occur every 5 seconds. Now this effect is really crazy, just because of the fact that it increases your normal and charge attack damage by 20% without you actually having to do anything, just you having the weapon equipped. Moreover, it increases or it regenerates 60% of your HP when you attack. Or, yeah. Now, the crazy thing with this is this weapon can be really good for catching. Okay, so if you don't know, there's this Kaching combo where you spam your charge attack, and the thing with Kaching is that she does crazy amounts of damage with her charge attack, right? And it's really quick. And this weapon is almost meant for Kaching, because she gets innate crit damage, she just needs crit rate, and because this weapon gives crit rate, then Kaching doesn't have to worry about that. Therefore, you'd be dealing a ton of damage, and trust me, I do have that Black Sword on Kaching right now, Refinement 1, and she does crazy amounts of damage. So, with the Serpent Spine, right, it has the same base stats as the Black Sword, but the effect is different. So every 4 seconds a character is on the field, they will deal 6% more damage and they will take 3% more damage. This can stack maximum 5 stacks, and every time you take damage you will lose 1 stack. So this weapon is an all-in weapon, alright? It can be your gift or your curse, depending on what champion you're running and on your comp. Okay, so why do I say this? Well, most of you probably know or have heard that this weapon is not really good on Diluc, just because of the fact that Diluc can set grass on fire, and that means that he'll take pyro tick damage and he'll lose stacks, right? This is only at hindsight, but if you'd have a Zhongli comp or a shield comp, then you'd actually be able to negate that effect, right? The pyro tick, because you won't take any pyro damage because of your shield, and therefore it would be safe to use Diluc with this weapon. Now, if you don't have a shield comp, then this weapon can be really good for Beidou, for Razor, Xinyan, basically anyone that can utilize the effect. And of course, this effect is very skill dependent. And what I mean by that is, how good are you as a Genshin player? If you know that you can avoid damage and you're really good at dodging, then you'd be able to sustain this effect for a really long time, and then you'd get the max potential out of it. But if you're the clumsy type of player, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Genshin is for all type of players, then this effect won't be really good for you, because then you'd lose like more stack than you'd gain. And yeah, then this effect won't actually be of any help. Now, for the Solar Pearl, the same base stats as the weapons that we talked about, but with the Solar Shine effect, which increases your elemental skill and elemental burst damage by 20% when you normal attack, and likewise it increases your elemental once you use your elemental skill or elemental burst, it increases your normal attack damage by 20%. Notice that it doesn't say charged attack, only normal attack. That means your charge attack won't do 20% more damage. Now, this effect can be very hit or miss. I feel that right now there is no good hero for this weapon, and that is just because of the fact that this weapon has actually a really good effect if you can use it correctly. What I mean by that is, for example, let's take Amona. Amona, if you have this weapon on her and you normal attack, then you'd get 20% increased elemental skill and elemental burst damage, which is really helpful for her elemental burst, because she has, if you equip her with a Noblesse Oblige set, then you do an extra 20%. That means your ultimate will do 40% more damage, which is just crazy. But Mona at the same time isn't a normal attacker, right? She doesn't really utilize her normal attack. They don't do a lot of damage. You'd actually only mostly use her charge attack, but since this doesn't increase charge attacks, you know, that effect really doesn't help you. So then you'd be using only half of this effect, right? You'd be negating the other half because you don't have any use for the normal attacks. Same, and you can apply this to like this thoughts about on like Niguang, right? On Barbara, you'll always be negating half of the effect unless you like build the character to do normal attack damage. And even then, you'd lose out on your elemental skill damage, and your burst damage, which isn't what you really want, right? So right now, I don't think there is any hero that can utilize this effect to its full potential. But, right, with that said, this can change because there can be a character that will get released, right, sometime in the future, that does a lot of normal attack damage and utilize a lot of elemental skills. For the Viridescent Hunt, it has the same base stats as the other weapons we've talked about, with the Verdant Wind effect, which upon hit, normal and aim shot attacks have a 50% chance to generate a cyclone, which will continuously attract surrounding opponents, dealing 40% of attack as damage. And this will occur every half a second for 4 seconds, meaning 8 ticks, and can occur only once every 14 seconds. A lot of people swear by this weapon, and for a good reason, right? This weapon can actually, like, it's literally a mini venti ult in your arsenal. Imagine you're a child and the effect occurs, right? And you'd be doing 40% attack 8 times, right? Because this occurs 8 times. And then what happens is that you'll be clumping them together, doing 40% of your damage 8 times. And then you just shift into your daggers mode, right? Like melee mode, and then go all like ham on them. And you'd melt these enemies, right? This could also be good on Ganyu, if you're looking for a Ganyu bow and you don't want to summon for the Amos bow, right? Which I can't really recommend either because of how the weapons banner works. Then you'd create this cyclone and you'd put down your ultimate, and how the ultimate works is that drop down icicles, and those icicles do AoE damage, I believe, and that means when you're clumped together, these enemies will drop each other's icicles on each other, right? And you'll be like doing a lot of extra damage. So this effect can be really good for that. Now, for the Deathmatch, it doesn't have the same base attack as the other weapons, but it has an increased crit rate, meaning it will scale, the crit rate will scale higher than the other ones. The effect is Gladiator. If there are at least 2 opponents nearby, attack is increased by 16% and defense is increased by 16%. If there are less than 2 opponents nearby, attack is increased by 24%. In hindsight, this weapon is not very good when there are more than 2 enemies, right? And that's what you're thinking. Most of the time, we're fighting more than 2 enemies. It's not very often you're fighting 1 enemy, which is almost the case that it is a boss, and that's not always what you're doing. And right now, we don't have many main DPS polearm users. You can use them as main DPS, for example, Zhongli or Xiangling, but you wouldn't want to because they're better as sub DPSs. And even when they're main DPSs, the Crescent Pike is a better weapon for them. Now, why would you even want this weapon? Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later once I go on the once I talk about the refinements, but this weapon can actually be really useful if you're thinking about summoning for Shao. First of all, you will increase your crit rate. That's the most important part, right? And as a Shao, you'll be always like you'll be always plunge attacking, and that means that there has to be more than 2 enemies to maximize your plunge attack. And then that means you'll be doing 16% extra more damage every plunge attack, and you won't die as easily because you get 60% extra increased defense. So for Shao, this weapon can be really good. Okay, so sorry if I'm going over this a bit fast, but you can read all of these effects by yourself. I still want to go over the refinements and what heroes each weapon can be good for, and which one you should choose once this battle pass ends. Okay, so the refinements, I'll put them up on screen. And we can start off with the Black Sword. Okay, so before I continue on with the next topic, I want to thank you guys for watching until now. And I want to also ask you guys to please subscribe and like this video, because it shows me that you actually want to see more content from me, and that encourages me to produce more content, because trust me, I do want to put out more videos and cover more topics to help you guys out, especially the newer players, to understand the game better, because I really do understand Genshin can be a big game and a lot of confusion can happen because of that. And with that, I want to thank you guys once again, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video. Alright, so the Black Sword increments by 5% for the damage increase and 10% for the HP regeneration. At max refinement, that means you'll be doing 40% more attack, and you'll regenerate 100% of your attack as HP. So if you've never missed a Battle Pass weapon, or let's say even a Battle Pass, then that means, and you've refined your Black Sword right until now, if you continue on refining it, you'll be doing 100% of your attack, and you'll be getting that as HP back. That means if you crit for 8,000, you'll be doing what is it, 8,000 HP back. I believe that is how it works, unless they take like whatever attack you have right now, which is, let's say if you have 2,000 attack, then that means you do 2,000 HP back. I'll have to run the numbers on that, but still, even if they take 100% of your attack stat, you'll still be you're healing a lot, right? And you can't forget the 40% increase. The 40% increase is just crazy. Especially if you have, as I said, a Kaching, and you can do that charge attack combo, then this weapon will melt enemies. Moving on to the Serpent Spine, we can see that we have a 6% increase in damage and 3% increase in, or 3% more damage taking. This goes up incrementally by 1% for the increase in damage, and you'd go down 0.3% for the increase in damage taking, which means that at max refinement you'll be doing 10% more damage, for 1 stack, and you'll take 1.8 damage more. Now at 5 stacks, that means you'll be doing 50% more damage, which is, just crazy by itself, and you'll take 9% more damage. So that means that you can actually just, ignore the 9% more damage, because that's literally nothing. 9%. 9% is, very negligible in my opinion. And if you're playing this weapon, then you literally don't want to take damage. So if you pick this weapon, you are a player that usually dodges a lot and doesn't take a lot of hits. And if you do that, you'll be doing 50% more damage at Refinement 5, which in itself is really crazy, especially if you count in the crit rate increase that you get from max level, which is 27.6%. If you have a shield comp, then this weapon can be really, really good on Diluc. Now the Solar Pearl. The Solar Pearl starts off by 20, and then it increments by 10 or 5% each level up, and at max refinement, you'll be doing a 40% increase in elemental skill and elemental breath damage, and a 40% increase in normal attack and normal attack damage, or normal attack damage. Sorry. I still stand by that this effect is not fully utilized yet by any caster. If you want to bet, like, this is a very big investment, because we can't, you're not guaranteed a hero that can really utilize this effect. But if you feel like you want to invest in this weapon, max refine it, and just for the chance that another, a hero is released with that utilizes normal attacks and elemental skills, then by all means go for it. But I wouldn't recommend it. The Viridescent Hunt scales crazily, right? It's really crazy. So it increments by 10% for the attack increase, and it goes down 1 second for the cooldown. At max refinement, we're talking about 80% attack increase and 10% or 10-second cooldown. Just that alone, that means you're doing 80% of your attack as damage 8 times for a 10-second cooldown. Once this effect ends, you'll only have to wait 6 seconds, because if you subtract 4 from 10, then you get 6. You can theoretically proc this effect every 6 seconds. That damage is crazy. If you've refined this weapon 2 times already, I'd say just go, just continue refining it. Especially if you're a bow user, a main bow user, and you have a child or Ganyu, then this effect can be really, really good. For the deathmatch, it goes up 4% for the increase in damage and increase in defense, and it goes up 6% for the increase if there's one opponent only. That means at max refinement, it is an increase by 32%, and 48%. This is the same as a Solar Pearl. This is a big investment, alright? Do you really want to refine this weapon? Skip all the other weapons and refine this weapon every battle pass just to get that 32% increase or that 48% increase? Right now, I don't see the reason why you want to do that, unless you really, really love polearms and you're going to summon for Shao 100%. If you fill those 2 requirements, then yeah, go for it. Refine this weapon. If you are going to get Shao 100% and you really love polearms, then yeah, refine this, because I believe this weapon can be really good on Shao. And that's the user a polearm user I know of now. Hu Tao is also a possibility. This weapon can also be good for Hu Tao, but we don't know a lot about her yet, unless you read the leaks. But officially, we don't know anything about her actually, but her name has been thrown around here and there. Alright, so with that, we've gone over the weapons, their effects, their refinements. Now, to the main question. Which weapon should you choose and should you refine your weapon? The answer is, it's up to your playstyle. Okay, now that might not be the answer you wanted, but let me explain. If you know that you're a main sword user, if you have a Kaching, a Jean, and those stay in your party all the time, then go for the black sword, right? Because then you'll be utilizing this weapon a lot. If you have if you're a main catalyst user and you know that you are able to dodge enemy attacks and you're confident in that, or that you have a shield comp, then go for the Serpent Spine, 100%. These two weapons are really good. Alright? The Solar Pearl, right now I don't feel like there's any caster that can utilize this skill. If you do pick this weapon, you'd have to build your hero in like a very specific way, a niche way, just to be able to utilize the effect of it. Otherwise, you'll most of the time be utilizing half of this effect, either if you're gonna focus on normal attacks for that 20% increase, or your elemental skill and burst damage. So in the end, most of the time you'll be negating half of the skill, which is a waste in my opinion. So therefore I can't really recommend this weapon, right? But if you're a catalyst user and you feel like you can create your hero with normal attack and elemental skill in mind, then this weapon can be a good choice. Mind you that all of these weapons are still good because of their crit rate, right? So these, like, I'm just talking about what weapons you should choose out of them. I'm not saying they are bad, but if you were going to choose one, I'm trying to guide you guys into what weapon you should choose. Now the Viridescent hunt, right? If you're a main bow user, if you have a child, a Ganyu, and you're looking for a good bow that's not like the prototype weapon, or if you don't want to summon for the Amos bow, then go for this weapon, right? If you're still gonna choose a weapon and you feel like you're gonna main Ganyu or your remaining child and you're using them a lot, then 100% go for this weapon. If you've already refined it, then 100% refine it to the end, because that's like, you get like this weapon, max refinement is almost as good as, or even as good as, the max refinement for the black sword. Okay, for the deathmatch, as I said before, if you're going to pick this weapon, then you gotta pick it if you know you're gonna summon for Shao, alright? Or you're gonna summon for a hero that's gonna is the main DPS and is gonna use the pole arm, but I wouldn't recommend refining it, alright? Because it's a very, very big investment. Like, you don't get a lot out of it. And yeah, it's not as safe of a weapon as the other ones. If like, the safest weapons here are the black sword, the serpent spine, or the Viridescent hunt. So in the end, what weapons you should choose is all about your playstyle, all about your what weapons you like to use. If you're going to ask me, I'm more of a collectionist. I am going to pick. I think I'm going to choose all the weapons. I don't know yet. I know that my next weapon is going to be the Serpent Spine. Mainly just because I want to put this onto Luke. I do have a shield comp, and a video will be coming on that once I get this weapon. But yeah, I'm gonna be picking the Serpent Spine, and I'm gonna try to collect most of the weapons here. I did miss one battle pass, sadly. But yeah, I'm just going to pick. I'm going to choose them all in the end just because I'm a collectionist. If you don't care about collecting, then max refine the weapon you like the most, right? The weapon you think that's gonna fit your playstyle the most. Other than that, there is like not much else to it. All these weapons are good. Of course, these three are the best in my opinion. The deathmatch can be good. This weapon, the effect's not utilized 100%. I try to keep this short. I know this video, is probably over 20 minutes now, but this just was a lot of information to talk about, and there's still a lot more to discuss, but I can't fit that in this video. If you do have any questions or if you want to discuss something about this video, then by all means do that in the comments. Please do like and subscribe because it really helps me a lot, and it will show my videos on the YouTube algorithm, and it actually shows me that you like these videos, and that encourages me. I really do want to take this seriously. With that, I wish you a very lucky wishing session when Shao comes out, and I hope I'll see you in my next video. With that, Scrubby signing out.